My people, what up, though? We back with another episode of All Black Men Need Therapy. My name is Chief
My name is Prentice.
Eugene Powell.
Y'all.
Bell is not joining us today. He may not. We don't know. We're gonna keep this train rolling because we missed last week and we apologize. We had some things going on. Brother's been busy. Nevertheless, what's happening? P, holla at me, baby. What's good?
Man, these allergies are kicking my ass beyond belief today, man. It's like 85 degrees out here. So allergies has got me all fucked up. Shit. Lakers, fuck Lakers. Warriors, we down by 29 right now. So we get whooped by the Rockets in game 5. So it looks like we gotta prepare for game 6. Summer almost here. Tigger's about to graduate next week from 8th grade, man. His birthday is the day before graduation, which is crazy. About to be 14, man. So, time is just moving. Things are moving. Just trying to keep up.
That's what's up.
Trying to keep up. What's up with you?
Yo, I'm chilling, man. How you been writing lately?
I have. Well, I've been writing a whole lot. It's funny. I just came to this revelation, man, that with this project I'm starting, I got to do it because I got to dump out the creativity I have now because I don't think I got any room for anything else. You know what I mean? Like what's been perseverating on my mind, I got to execute in order to like make room for new whatever. So yeah, I've been writing, but nothing that really catches me. Just writing to make sure I'm writing. You know, you know how that go. Like you have your pockets. Like I ain't writer's block. I'm just writing. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But what I really need to do, I need to get started because I feel like that's getting in the way of anything and everything else. Like I gotta start executing to make room.
no doubt. No doubt.
Yeah.
I get it. Oh, speak of the devil and they shall appear. You know what I'm saying? I'm calling my dude the devil, but you know what I'm saying? It's good that my dude popped up. Yow.
What up?
What it do, cuz? How you be? We just got it started. We ain't even finished the check-in, so you right on time with the pinstripes. What's good? Is that seersucker? Or seersucker the little thinner joint? You know what I'm saying?
No, seersucker's a color.
Yeah, but I'm saying they got the seersucker pattern, B. You know what I'm saying?
How is the pattern if seersucker's a color?
The seersucker stripes. I got the pants over here, B. Never mind.
That's an executive. That's an executive shirt. That's like top tier.
Tony got me 2 sweaters.
You got a second people that compliment this shirt. This is just a regular casual Gap shirt.
It's my Tuesday shirt.
If I see you walking down the street now, I'd be like, that nigga got a good job.
I'm still in my clothes, but I still got my shoes on. I ain't changing nothing since I've been home.
Yes, it's been wild. I'm still in, Anyway, P, you said you've been writing. Just got to make some room for some things so you can get to what you got to get to, huh?
Yeah, man. I gotta release the creativity that's been pulling at me now in order to make room, man. That's about it, bro.
No, don't. I seen the missus up on the joint on the Pilates joint trying to get the abs like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and do them sit-ups right. And
she's such a legend at this shit already, bro. That shit is crazy, bro.
That's what's up. That's definitely what's up. But Bud, since you pull up on us, man, what's good? You can jump in right there. How you be? How you feeling? How you living? Check in, cuz.
What I got going on? Not much, man. I'm good, man. I ain't got a lot going on at all, bro. Like, yeah, I'm good, man. I'm trying to think. Like, I'm trying to think what the hell. Yesterday was Chase's birthday, so that was dope. We had some cake and ice cream, also some cake.
Happy birthday, nephew.
Happy birthday.
He just turned 5. We took him to New York to the Statue of Liberty last week for his birthday present, and we told him, we're going on a trip, so we're not gonna have a party. And he's like, well, I kind of want a party now. So what he did is he invited all our neighbors to sing happy birthday to him yesterday. So it ended up turning into like a 5 or 6 kid party with our neighbors, you know what I'm saying? Which is cool. They all bought him presents, which was cool. And I realized why he did it, because the night before he was naming our neighbors' kids, and there's 4 kids total. And he's like, well, if Lucy comes, that's one present. If Leo comes, that's another present. Leo's her brother, who's 2. And it's like, and if Steve, Lucy's dad, comes, that's another present. Like he's just, I'm like, bro. And he did that for all our neighbors. I'm like, that's not how this works, man. But yeah, it was cool. Did that. I was in Vancouver last week, man. Like that was dope. It was real nice. Any of you have ever been, Prentice? I feel like you've been to Vancouver. No,
I was just in Toronto. I ain't go to Vancouver.
Oh yes, yeah. I haven't been to Toronto. But Vancouver is dope, man. It kind of, well, at least for me, it kind of like gave like an optical illusion feel, because you see like a city skyline, like any city, right? And then you see mountains behind it, so like it was real picturesque. Like it was really nice. And everybody kept saying I was blessed because the weather was good, because it's very similar to Seattle. Like it rains a lot, overcast a lot, but yeah, man, a beautiful city. The food was amazing. And then being way up that far up north, man, it's just like, and it's right on the water. Like we went to dinner my last night there on the water. Like it was dope, man. It was real dope. And people in Vancouver are just super chill, laid back, just like Pacific Northwesterners, in general. But it was cool, man. It's different being in a different country. You know what I mean? Like, because Canada is so close. Like I don't sometimes consider them a different country, but they are 100% a different country. Yeah, I did that last week. That was cool. Like I said, Statue of Liberty. Renovations on the investment property coming along. I was out there on Monday. Got my uncle set up. Shout out to my man Marcus. He came through, put a brand new chimney on the house. What else? Bree's birthday is this weekend. Should be 28, which is wild. So celebrating that on Saturday.
Her birthday is, what day is her birthday?
The 3rd.
Okay.
Yeah.
So here's 3 days later.
Yeah, man, that's it, man. That's all I got going on, dude. I'm in a good spot. Like I said, I'm starting these renovations. Had the electrician come over, or not renovations, but these this split mini splits getting installed. I had to get my electrical updated. Got that going on. I had an MRI yesterday to find out what happened. I don't know yet. I got to meet with him. I got to meet with my doctor. I don't even know when that's scheduled. But that's it, man. Like I'm cool, bro. Like Lo's good. She's busy. She's real busy. That's it. I'm good. That's all I got. That was a lot, but that's it.
No doubt. I've been busy, moving and shaking, doing a little bit of traveling, performing and whatnot. Had a gig today at Tunxus Community College. It was dope.
Tunxus Turtles.
They packed the joint out. A lot of people's first experience with spoken word poetry.
Were you the only one?
No, we did it with the Slam team, Connecticut Slam team.
Nice.
So we all went there and got did our thing. But it was just cool to kind of, I'd say probably like 70% of the room had never experienced spoken word poetry before. So it was a cool feel to
the room.
Huh?
If they've never done it before, I wonder what got him in the room.
So my man is a English professor there. And April was National Poetry Month. So, you know what I'm saying? They had like poetry sessions or whatever. So they had like the student open mic prior to us coming on and doing our thing.
Yeah.
So a bunch of classes was there, and it was real cool. I ran into one of my former students, bro. She was like, "That's Saul Peterson. I didn't know if it was you, but I'm here." And I'm like, trying to remember her name. Like, okay, I get her name down. And I'm like, "How old are you now?" She's like 35. I'm like, "What?"
God damn.
Yeah, right. Like, yeah, damn, dog. I'm like, that's crazy, yo. She's like, yeah. So she's in there studying law or whatever. So I'm like, yo, this is just, it's just crazy how time flies, bro. Crazy how that flies. But it was cool. My mom pulled up which was real cool. You know what I'm saying? She get to, she always trying to act like she wrote the poems. So she did her thing, talking to her people and whatnot. So it was just a good time, man. But I think it was a different feel because a lot of people, like I said, they just haven't experienced spoken word. So they were like enamored, like really engulfed in it. Like, oh my God, like I didn't know this. Like it was just real cool. You know what I'm saying? Like it wasn't the average, like, oh wow. They were really like the room was quiet. They were locked in, making noise. Like they bit it. You know what I'm saying? And it was cool. So it was a really good time. And then as soon as we left there, I had to shoot over and we had rehearsal right after because we were preparing for this joint in Knoxville next month. So it's just been busy and I had to rush back and get home before Bubba. Mother's sister-in-law brought her to practice for me today and she got her back. So and the boys, the boy's been sick, man. Stormy, like the bug, the stomach bug, and it was, they like just school is just a germy place for them babies, man. And I think my boys, they must got their mom immune system because this is always sick. But outside of that, man, it's been good. I've been busy, been writing, been working. Been knocking things off my list and just and doing what needs to be done, bro. So I'm in a good spot right now. I'm feeling good. I feel like that pressure I've been telling y'all, that angst that's been on me kind of moved a little bit. It ain't weighing on me like it was. I don't think it's completely gone, but I don't feel that heavy anymore. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what the shift was. And what's crazy is I haven't met with my therapist in two weeks, I think. I just won't because remember I told you she had some traumatic things going on in her world. So I reached out to another one, waiting to hear back. Finally, the joint that Mikey put me on to.
They got back to you?
No, she hasn't got back to me yet. So, but it's been good. I actually do have a check, and I had a real good conversation with one of my students today. Young lady, I think she's 15, and just come from all the shit kids ain't supposed to come from. And she like opened up and was like, I don't talk to anybody about this and blah, blah, blah. And she opened up and I kind of got her to like see herself a little bit and how she's kind of in her own way most of the times. And it was real refreshing to kind of like to have her leave there and be appreciative of it and like set her own plan to check herself when she feels these emotions coming on and how she can respond to it. And I'm like, that's pretty cool. So we'll see, whether she implements it or not, but it was cool. Like she broke down in tears and was just like, I've taken meds before and it didn't help. It made me just feel even crazier and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, okay, well, you ever think about therapy? And she's like, no, and therapy don't work. I'm like, well, it's about your mindset too. You know what I'm saying? If you walk into it, we just had that conversation. It was cool to kind of see her at the end, just be like appreciative of it, but more so like really understanding herself and wanting to be better, because it's one typical kid, you say anything to her and it's World War III. But why you ain't saying nothing to him? Yeah, he was talking, but so were you. And I addressed you this time. Maybe he'll get the next time, you know what I'm saying? So that's how it all started. But it was just cool to kind of see everything come full circle. So that was that was like my good deed for the day. I felt like she took a step towards being a better person today. And that's what's up. That felt good. So jumping right into today's conversation, Bell, I took it from that joint you had sent us in the grouper a while ago on Instagram, where the dude posed the question like, how do you know who you are if you've always been in survival mode? Remember that when you said that? Yeah. So I'm like, you know what? Maybe we can. I don't think we'll get through all the questions today. I kind of see this being a multi-part episode, but I thought it was a good conversation because we've touched on survival mode in various episodes. So that's the first question he asked, and he's like, he posed 5 more questions that lead to that header question. But I'm like, yo, you know what? Let me talk to the fellas and see if they can identify that, and then we'll go from there. So the first question he asked was, how do you know who you are if you've always been in survival mode?
Well, I think the first question is, how do you even know you're in survival mode if all you've ever been is in survival mode?
Do we have a definition for survival mode? Does that need to be defined for the people?
It's funny because when you said that, I thought about like When somebody tries to define porn, it's like it's hard to define, but you know when you see it.
Is survival mode one of those things though? I know you're giving the analogy, but like, is survival mode one of them things that you'll know when you see it?
This is just my opinion. I honestly don't know that people know that they're in survival mode.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? It's like what, like perfect example. Like, when did you realize you was broke? When you were little.
I got a legit story about that, but like I
Right.
told
So
the story before.
Yeah, I know. How old were you?
I might have been like, where was we at? Booth Street. So probably around 10, 11 maybe.
Yeah. So up until that point, you didn't know. Right. And nothing.
Nope, that's not true. Like 14.
Okay. 14, even better. Right. So up until that point, you didn't know. Like, there was nothing to compare it to. Like, this is just life. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I don't know. I don't know that you're in survival mode until you get out. That's just my personal opinion, maybe. I'm not saying it's fact. Prentice, what do you think?
I kind of feel like survival mode is a feeling. You know what I mean? Like I can speak for myself. I know when I'm struggling, whatever arena it is. I know survival mode to me is like a feeling. It's when I don't feel at ease. It's when I may be highly stressed. It may be when I just know I'm scrambling to maintain or try to figure shit out. And I think when you have some type of life experience that's a contrast to what you've been feeling, right? So y'all remember my survival mode when I realized that I was in survival mode was when I moved here last summer. Remember, I had that survivor's remorse, right? Like I got in here, was like, damn, shit is cool, shit is calm. I'm not stressing over this or that. This is different. This is different. That is different. I had to have something else to kind of identify what the other side looked like. But when I think about survival mode in general, I feel like I know when for me, survival mode I've associated with finances. You know what I mean? I don't necessarily think emotion, but I've associated survival mode with finances when I'm low, when I'm tight, when I gotta come up with this bread, when rent is due and I ain't got it. You know what I mean? Like shit like that. When I gotta pay a tuition or I'm just scrounging when they ask for an extra pair of shoes and I know I can't get it because the money is too low. Like I associate all survival mode maybe with finances and anything else.
What do you think, Chief?
What are we talking about? Like defining survival mode, or
Yeah, like my thing was, I don't know if you. I'm gonna go back to Prentice in a second because I have some follow-up questions, but like what I said, and again, I'm not saying it's fact. What I said is, can you define survival mode if all you know is survival mode? And what Prentice kind of hinted at that, saying you have to have a life altering, or not life altering. I can't remember exactly what you said, but like a contrast, a contrasting experience to be able to identify it.
Yeah, I agree, but it could also be just, window shopper type mentality, like outside looking in. Like, you know what I'm saying? When you see things that you aspire to have and don't really have them yet, you can kind of get a real dose of the reality you're actually living rather than having that experience yourself. You know what I'm saying?
But either way, it has to come from an outside source, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. So it could be one of them things people are like, that level up may not have happened for the individual just yet, but they're privy to it either via television or via, a random road trip or a work experience or something like that. That kind of like, damn, there's so much more out there that I've yet to tap into. But I think it also comes with a level of maturity or maybe even aspirations though, bro. I think a lot of people who maybe can't identify survival mode don't aspire to live outside of it.
I could see that argument 100%. And I don't know that they don't aspire to live outside of it. I personally believe in certain scenarios that people don't even know that that's afforded to them.
That what is?
Whatever that aspiration is.
Yeah. So when you said people don't personally believe that that's afforded to them, the first thing that came to my mind was AAU. Like, so like Mia plays basically AAU softball.
Mhm.
Every tournament we go to, there's probably 3 black girls, 3 brown girls, and one of them is probably like an Asian. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of inner city black girls who may love softball aren't privy to that opportunity, to that type of exposure.
Yeah.
You dig what I'm saying? So I forgot. I lost my point. But when you said they're not afforded, they don't know that they're afforded these opportunities. Like, I think the girls would have been okay playing town ball, playing high school ball, and not doing that because they didn't know, or literally could not afford that other opportunity. You dig what I'm saying? So, like P, for example, would Tahir, because the kids don't really know what we go through. We don't really invite them into our thing. Like you said, Bree didn't know you lived how you lived because she saw it, you doing what you're supposed to be doing, until you had to sit her down like, yo, this shit wasn't easy. You know what I'm saying? So I was asking you, P, like, do you think Tahir would would one say we were in survival mode, or is his thing like, I'm living in a good place and I'm going to this great school next year, so he's, thriving, and doesn't really look at it from what he had been through?
I think that's totally different. Like, if I look at my childhood, my mom did not have money, but I had no clue. I had no clue that we were in survival mode growing up. You know what I mean? I mean, outside of the powdered milk and kicks that we used to have to eat and the repetitive food, that was just one aspect. But my mom did a good job at letting me experience life to the fullest and childhood to the fullest. So although she didn't have a lot of money, I still experienced everything there was to experience, and she set it up that way. So I think it's different with our children. Like, like you said, only we know what we go through and what's going on to maintain something. But I think it's different with our kids. I think we know, and then we try to shield them from maybe the effects and the feelings of that. But yeah, it's different when it comes to your kids.
Okay, so to Bell's point, that you didn't answer, I answered. But when did you learn that you were broke? Because with the powdered milk and all the other good stuff, everybody else had it, so it felt natural, it felt normal.
Right. So for me, it wasn't childhood. It was when I got on my own. I had to fucking pay my own bills and figure out how I'm gonna pay this rent and put gas in my car and eat. Like, that's when I got introduced to survival mode. My childhood, I didn't experience that. My mom did a really good job of making sure that I was happy and had things that I needed and wanted.
That's fair.
So I just put in into Copilot, and I said so how do you define survival mode? And it says survival mode is a mental state where individuals focus on immediate concerns and self-preservation, often due to stress or trauma. This state can lead to impulsive reactions and diminish ability to use executive functioning skills effectively.
Mhm.
So I think about your example, Prentice. There's a lot of thoughts running through my mind. I think survival mode is not often, or not often, doesn't always have to be equated to financial.
Agreed.
Right? I think that's the most identifiable
Yeah.
attribute, in my opinion. But I don't think, because I think about Stu, right? Stu was in survival mode. He was a president of a company, but he was in survival mode, right? Stu's the former president of the company I work for, and a good friend. He was in survival mode. He's a multimillionaire, but he's in survival mode. You see what I'm saying? So I think it's and he again, like, shout out to the Path podcast. He didn't understand he was in survival mode until he got out of it.
Mhm.
Because what you may experience, Prentice, like the next iteration potentially for you is, okay, you got the money, you got the house, you got the career, right? Everything is aligning with what you thought thriving would be. And maybe, just maybe, at that point, you have to realize that, okay, maybe it's more to this or more to my purpose and or life than what I identified as
Mhm.
thriving, right? Because it maybe, and I'm not saying this is true, but maybe those things will no longer hold the same value, like the sneakers, right? Like we talked about, like that's a perfect example, right? Like that was your measure of success, right? That was my measure of success for sure. And then it no longer holds the same weight because like, you got all the shoes you want, and you realize, oh, there's still other aspects of my life that there's gaps that I have to fill. You know what I'm saying? So, the original question is, how do you identify that you're in survival mode if you don't know your? What was the original question? I know Chief just jumped off, but
Yeah, it was how do you identify you're in survival mode if you don't know that you're in it?
oh no, how do you know who you are if you've always been in
Oh,
survival mode? Yeah, something
yes.
like that. Yeah, man. I think TK Kirkland talked about this the other day. He's a comedian and actor, and
Feet to the motherfucking cat.
yeah, he said something to the effect of men don't come into their own, in his opinion, until they're 42.
I saw that.
Yeah, and I'm like, and it was more in depth than that, but I don't know, man. I think there's for high achievers, and this is just my opinion. For high achievers, there's always going to be a level of survival mode.
Mm.
That's my thought. That's my opinion, and I think I do believe you can learn about yourself while in survival mode. Because that was the original question, right, Chief? How
The
do you?
original question was, how do you know who you are if you've always been in survival mode?
Yeah, like I do believe that you can find out who you are if you're in survival mode. You can find. I mean, for instance, if you stay in survival mode forever, you can find out that you're maybe not as ambitious as you thought, right? But survival survival mode is relative, like I said. So you can be in survival mode in your own head, but to your community, you're thriving.
Very
Mm.
true.
You know what I mean?
I think it's more dangerous when it comes from an emotional space. You know what I'm saying? Like it's easier to identify when it comes to finances, right? Like you don't have
I
immediate
would, I
things.
would,
I
I would,
feel like, you know.
I would argue, Prentice, that it's all an emotional space.
Yes,
I would
agreed.
argue that finances is a byproduct of you being in survival mode.
Right, and maybe it's more blatant and visible when you
Yeah, yeah,
when you
it's
do it
it's
to
tangible.
finances, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay, so that's a better word. Finances is a more tangible representation of survival mode. I think emotionally is where it gets dangerous because emotionally you can put yourself in certain like survival mode pockets in order to try to get ahead, right? Like you can kind of suppress certain thoughts or certain feelings or certain emotions. You can shut off from one aspect of life in order to attempt to achieve this goal, and that may be hindering your progress overall. You know, like kind of maybe not treating or dealing with some of the things that are going on for the sake of betterment, so to speak.
yeah. Well, that's exactly what Copilot said. Is it said you this they can lead to impulsive reactions and diminishing ability to use executive functioning skills effectively. Yes, it's exactly what you were saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't. In hearing you guys say that, yo, I feel like when we're talking about survival mode, I mean the word survival literally like life or death. But I didn't. It didn't. It's not like that in my mind. It's kind of just like pushing through. But when you talk about when you mention the emotional components of it, I'm literally thinking like that's literally life or death. Like finances, I don't know if that's life or death. You know what am I making sense? So when you talk about like being in survival mode, like when it's an emotional thing, it can literally mean life or death. Like
Yes.
those the mental health part of it and all that good stuff. But in the financial component, I don't think it doesn't carry that same weight for me in my head.
Yeah.
Again, I think it's different for everybody. Like I don't know if you heard this part, but what I was saying is Stu, who we know and love, he was in survival mode as a president of a multi-billion-dollar company,
Mm-hmm.
as a multimillionaire. But
Mm-hmm.
he was in survival mode. But he didn't recognize it until he stepped away. And he talks about it on his podcast. You know what I'm saying? So it's like that's why I said it's all relative. So for you, Chief, that the the finances may not resonate, but to my original point, one could argue, right? Like say the finances don't resonate with you. One could argue like this. Diddy Diddy said this to Envy one time on the Breakfast Club. one could argue it's like, oh, well, you just didn't make enough money yet, right? To have it impact you the way it would if you were in survival mode, maybe. Or maybe you've made enough money and you haven't changed your circumstances so it doesn't impact you anymore.
Mhm.
You see what I'm saying? So it's like you made more money, but you're either living below your means, right? Or living in a space where you shouldn't be living, or whatever the case. I mean, not that it's necessarily a bad thing, but it's all relative, man. Like, so like how I would argue that we all define it differently.
Mhm.
Survival mode, that is.
To go back to the original question, I would say that you definitely know who you are. Like, you are who you are, right? But being in survival mode, you may kind of be cheating yourself out of how much you learn about yourself or how much you know about
Yeah,
yourself, right? Because
your full capability.
you're only used to identifying your behavior, your thoughts, your feelings, your actions to a certain capacity, right? To enough to maybe like get by or to get through or to just maintain. And then like your former coworker boss or the former president, he had to get out of it to identify that he was in survival mode. So it sounds
Mhm.
like a lot of times, again, there's like a contrast that has to happen for people to identify it. But I think it's very possible to know you're in survival mode and have a sense of self. It just may be limiting, you know what I mean? And what your experiences are in that survival mode may kind of hinder how you go inside and how you view yourself internally. You know, that's when like your conscience and positive words of affirmation take place. Like, how do you view yourself? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Or it
how
could
do
be
you
a
look at
choice.
yourself during that time?
Could also be a choice for some people.
How so?
Okay. So the second, the first part of his now questions around.
Motherfucker wasn't paying attention clearly.
At all.
No, what do you mean?
I said, how so? And then he was about to talk.
And
You
you
said,
just
all right.
moved on.
You said,
Yeah.
all right,
My
nigga,
bad.
moving on.
My bad. My bad. I heard what you said. I missed the household part. Go ahead, but I'm
That's
sorry.
all good.
What I said is it could be a choice. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean, like I said, like there's some people I know that are uber smart, have so much potential, but they're like, nah, I'm just good right here. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm good now. Again, that person, based on their socioeconomic status, based on their even credit score, right? Or based on their access to funds, based on their access to resources, by definition, they're in survival mode.
Oh.
You see what I'm saying? But that can be like, that may be true, but I'm cool, bruh. Like, I'm cool. Like, this is life for me, and that's okay. You know what I mean? And no knock to those people. And there's other people who are like, I'm surviving. I'm in survival mode until I can get here. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Sure.
but I would also argue that survival mode is multi-layered, right? Where you could be thriving financially, Prentice, but in survival mode from a mental health standpoint, in survival mode from a relationship standpoint, right?
Yep.
Like there's so many different facets, and then so I in part I agree with what the man is saying, or the person saying, that you don't, how you gonna know who you are at your core if you're always in survival mode. But that's not who you are if you don't get there. Does that make sense? Or did I get too deep?
Yeah, you got to dial it back a little bit.
That's
not who you are if you don't get there.
Yeah. So
I get it. I think.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, how am I gonna identify? How do I identify who I really am if I'm always in survival mode? But if I'm always in survival mode, that's not who I really am. Like the who I really am is who I really am.
Yeah, but to get to, I keep saying now, but to get to who you really are, that's a process of evolution, though, isn't it? So you are who you are in that.
Also making a choice.
What?
You
But
see what I'm saying?
we talked about it being subconscious though too, like
Yeah,
not even
Right.
knowing. You know what I'm saying? So you can't. I guess you making choices you don't know you making.
And I mean, I kind of feel like that is who you are. Like who you are now is who you are. Who you can become is somebody different. But regardless if you're in survival mode or not, what's going on in your present has been defined by what you did previously, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Hmm.
so if whatever subcategory of survival mode you may be experiencing, I mean, it is what it is, but you are who you are right now. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you're making some bad choices, maybe you're doing some other shit, but yeah, I kind of feel like you are who you are. You can have a knowledge of self while in survival mode. You just obviously don't know what you look like when you show up for yourself in a different way than you're showing up for yourself in that moment, maybe. Does that makes sense? Like you are who you are.
Yeah.
Subjective.
I, yeah. I just struggle with it because it's like, again, man. There's people I can look at and be like, they're in survival mode and they don't even know it. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like Chief, I will argue you're in survival mode, but you have a plan, right?
Mhm,
Like
mhm.
you have a plan. So it's like,
Yo,
yeah,
my
Is
shit
that the same
bounces
thing?
back and forth. I really
Is
do
that the
think it
same thing
bounces back
though?
and forth, contingent upon the finances part of it. Like I feel like I bounce back and forth. Like sometimes I feel like I'm thriving in terms of like where I stand mentally and how I'm doing financially. And the other time it's like, a little setback. Like I think it
It
really does. Can you be? Can you be? Yes, you can. Well, the point I was going to make was like, can you be thriving in one facet of the survival mode, and then, or you know what I'm saying, like thriving mentally and in survival mode
I think
financially, or vice versa? Or
I
are they tied together?
personally I feel like they're all interconnected. Personally, I feel like that because like in my situation, I'll speak only for myself. When I was saying I feel okay, good example. I was saying I feel like I'm called to do more, right? I would argue, that 3-year block of time I would argue I probably made more money than I made the majority of my life. Like I would argue that, right? So financially I'm good, but there's a piece that I'm not surviving. I'm not living paycheck to paycheck, like by definition. Like I'm not surviving from that standpoint. But
Mm-hmm.
mentally I was surviving. I wasn't thriving. I couldn't find I was trying to figure out. Now this is starting to make sense. Like I was what the original question posed. So mentally I was surviving and I was trying to figure out how to get out of that survival mode. And I couldn't put my finger on it. Like I just couldn't figure out what it was. But who I am is action oriented, solution oriented, plan oriented. So because of who I am, I got out of that and found out what the missing component was, whatever that was, right? And I didn't stay in that mode. So who I am is a person that may be in survival mode for a period until I can identify um, a way out. But it's never a resting place for me.
are we using the term too lightly? Do you
Potentially,
think? You know what I'm saying?
potentially.
Like, do you
That's
think?
what I was
I think
thinking. I
we
had
can't
that
be
same
using this.
thought.
I think we may be using this term too lightly, man. Because I keep hearing like you can be down to your last dollar and have a plan, and that mentally will take you out of survival mode because you have a fucking plan that you're executing.
So
You know what I mean?
yeah. So in Bell to Bell's point, the definition of it solely focused on the mental capacity
Completely,
around it, right?
Mhm.
completely.
For
It's
me,
completely mental. Yeah.
No,
for
but
me.
the
At the end of the day,
definition
it's
you read,
completely mental.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
if you have a plan and you're doing something that's making you feel like you're in motion, you don't have to feel like you're in survival mode. Your circumstances can be without in certain areas, but if you have a plan and you're active, I feel like that changes your mentality, right? So you're not
And devil's advocate, unless your plan is just more survival.
true. True.
Listen, dude. Like, this is just my opinion. This is all about perspective.
It is.
All of this is about perspective, man. Because I personally believe you. Shout out to my man Toby. He always says it takes two people to understand one. And I personally believe that somebody can see you through their eyes differently than you see yourself through your own eyes, for better or worse, right? Somebody can look at you and like, you ain't never going to be shit, right? And then you can look at yourself and like, man, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm about to be president, right? But then I think the other thing is we can look at ourselves and be like, if I just buy a house and make $80,000 a year, I'm good. And that can be thriving for us. But someone can look at you and know your potential and be like, man, you are in survival mode and you don't even know it because you're surviving the rat race in this particular scenario because you're called for much more than that. You just can't see beyond your circumstances.
Or maybe you can in your content.
Or maybe you can in your content. Yep.
Yeah, it's all mental. It's all mental. That's definitely a mental thing.
Okay, so if I agree, but if we're continuing, the next question I think is a beautiful question for me because I think it gives us a chance to be positive and to talk about things that we love. So the question is, what do I enjoy? Excuse me. Simply because it brings me joy.
What's your answer?
I want to process that. One of y'all go first.
I mean, being with my kids, that's easy. I mean, I don't know if I'm answering the question right, but like, what do I enjoy just because I enjoy it?
What do I enjoy simply because it brings me joy?
Yeah. Time with my kids, leading and developing people. Creating opportunities. Yeah, that's it for me. I mean, I'm sure there's more, but that's what comes to mind. Giving back, philanthropic stuff.
It's a million things for me, man. I enjoy watching people on the internet happy, and then it makes me cry. I enjoy that shit. Like,
Say that one more time, P.
I enjoy watching people happy on their internet and it making me cry. I enjoy shedding tears of joy. I really, really have a thing about it. I do it every day on purpose. I enjoy being at home just because it makes me happy. Obviously, I enjoy writing and speaking because it makes me happy. There's a million things I can list that I enjoy simply because it brings a million things. Like, that's a limitless list.
I'm not gonna say that I search for it like you do, P, but I do find great, like other day, not too long ago, like I something happened where I had a good cry. And I did. Like I literally I watched it a couple times and then sifted for more of the same type to kind of help me go through it. There's a video I have of this dude. It just something about it I find absolutely hilarious, and it makes me cry laughing every time I watch it. He's doing a crumble cookie review. and the way he laughed, yo, it is absolutely hilarious. Matter of fact, I'm gonna upload it and we're gonna watch it together. But it makes me laugh every time I watch it. And I watch it probably like once a week just to it just makes me feel good. You know what I'm saying? I think all of us need, like, if you think of perhaps some of the best times you've had in life, I guarantee there's some laughter around it. You know what I'm saying? And I think just laughter just puts me in a place where obviously it's something that most people enjoy doing. And if you can laugh so hard to the point where you cry and it brings you that, think about, like, when you cry tears of joy, think about how good you feel. You know what I'm saying?
Well, then the question is, how often do we?
And more importantly, how often do you? When's the last time you cried tears of joy, Bell? Even with we got a good laugh. We went out a while ago, but like, you know,
No,
like
I can
that you
tell you.
can distinctly remember.
I can tell you. It happened on the episode, but it was when my cousin got his CO job, just because of how tough his life was. You know what I'm saying? And to see him get that CO job, like that's the last time. That was probably 2 years ago. That's the last time I cried tears of joy. Because I mean, that's joy. Like I can see something sad on the internet that's like heartwarming. I don't consider that like tears of joy. Like I consider that like sympathetic cry or sympathetic tears, stuff like that. But tears of joy, like my cousin getting becoming a CO after serving 6 years in prison. Like that was the last time I cried tears of joy. So
It's a
so yeah,
beautiful thing.
that's
Now,
so,
even then, is a beautiful thing because you internally. I mean, you did it outwardly as well, but like celebrated your cousin and felt so good about it that it stirred up those emotions, and that's a beautiful thing. We're obviously not gonna get to all these questions today, but I want to do at least one more. And the next question he has, and I think this is interesting because I do tend to carry a little bit of guilt when it comes to it sometimes. And it says, what does rest look like when I'm not feeling guilty about it? Bell?
you answer. We've been answering for so time. What does the rest look like for you when you're not feeling guilty about it?
The first thing that always comes to mind is just making sure the kids are taken care of and you know, safe or whatever. But a day of on the couch binging something and just like unbothered, and those days seldomly happen. Every now and then, you know, the boys will go somewhere with their mom and Bubba will be somewhere with her mom, and I literally have no responsibilities and nothing to do, and I allow myself the freedom to just be like, you know what, F them poems, F that project you got coming up or that deadline, and just give yourself a minute to breathe, bro. Because you push yourself to the point where you run on fumes and you catch a nap here and there, but you still, you know, still just always catch up when it comes to getting that rest.
Yeah, you different, man. Like you really be exhausted because like I told you, watching you was exhausting. You know what I'm saying? Just like doing all of this, ripping and running.
Yeah, so there was this past weekend, like it was last week. It was really like it was taxing on me from a I guess physiological space where I was like damn near delusional at one point. Like, nigga, just lay down. You know what I'm saying? Lay down, bro. And I finally caught a good like 10 hours and was just like rejuvenated. But I so needed that.
Yeah, man.
You know?
But I also think that I also believe in the Black community, we are predisposed to hustle. It's my opinion. I'm not saying it's fact, right? I feel like we're predisposed to hustle. So what you're talking about is the hustle. And I think what I've stepped into, and this will answer the question too. What I've stepped into this year is I'm not hustling in the way that I once did. And that has been cool. You know what I'm saying? Like I hustle in other ways, right? Like relaxation to me, to be honest, is changing light switches at the house that I did this weekend because I'm home because I travel so much.
Go ahead.
I travel so much. So like me being home, just in my own home, that's relaxing to me. Like obviously laying down on the couch, yes, 100%. But like that's relaxing.
Yeah. So that's what I was gonna say. So the word he used and I know there's, it's potato potato, but he used rest. And
That's
I feel like relaxation and rest could be viewed
yeah.
as two different things.
I understand. But for me, that's rest. Like me being home, taking something off my plate that I enjoy, like that's rest. Like that's a form of resting for me. Because when I'm not doing something for myself, I'm doing something for everybody else. So that for me is my form of rest. And I don't have a problem laying down at this stage because like I'm not oblivious to how much I do, and I just do my best to be cognizant of it because that shit can take you out, like literally and figuratively. It can take you out. And I know when I was the epiphany I had going into this year was I do so much hustling, like different streams of income, doing this, doing that, when I haven't done anything as long as my career. So my professional career is the longest thing I've done in my life, 15 years. So I'm like, I'm putting all this energy into other things and hustling. Well, what if I just poured all my energy into my career? This is like credentially, this is the most experience I have. So why not further this along versus trying to build something from the ground up and deal with all that when I'm like, it's a well-oiled machine over here. You know what I'm saying? So that was the epiphany I had. So that's why I think too, Chief, that you're ripping and running and all that may trigger me even more now because I'm not ripping and running as much as I once did. You know what I'm saying? And when I decide to do something, whether it's invest in a real estate property or whatever the case, I time block it, meaning I'm only doing this for this period, right? So I bought that house in February. That house would be sold by the 6th week of summer, and then I'm done. I'm not jumping into something else. I'm not like, no, I time blocked it. I'm like, okay, I have this much bandwidth, and I'll do this. I'll make this, and I'll be out. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna take this much time. It's gonna take this much money. This is the return, and I'm out. You know what I'm saying? Whereas before, I'm like, there was another property that got dropped on my desk simultaneously. I would have took that one too, and then I would have been stretched super thin while being a husband, while being a father, while trying to um, run a sales organization, for my corporate job. So that now I'm like, nah, I'm just gonna focus on the main thing, man,
Keep
and
the main
yeah,
thing, man.
to these other things, I don't get to it. Like that's what rest looks like for me now. In short, Prentice.
Trip, you say that. Rest for me looks like through my own lens, through my own lives, through my own like real time experience, something that I would post on Instagram to personify rest. Perfect example. My Wednesday started 4:45 in the morning, so I started 4:45 on Wednesdays. Right, I'm at the Pilates studio about 5 o'clock. I'm teaching until about 8:30. Then I have a couple of hours between 8:30 and probably around like 1 or 2. Today, rest looked like me putting my leash on my dog and walking around the beautiful neighborhood for 45 minutes. And in my lens, in my real time, I'm like, damn, this is great. You know what I mean? And I just walked through the neighborhood because I had time to do it and that was relaxing for me. Then I came home and I was gonna clean up and I was like, nah, Tahir's been whooping my ass in 2K lately. So I sat down, I got on YouTube and I created a Michael Jordan build. And I'm starting from scratch. And now I'm at a 77 overall, and I started at 60 today. And that was really relaxing today. And I had a couple of hours. I could have did a bunch of other shit. I could have folded clothes. I could have went to the gym instead of the one down the street. But I didn't. I did things that to me looked out of my own lens like relaxing. You know what I mean? So rest depends on the day, it depends on my time, but it's always going to be something that I view as relaxing. You know what I mean? Whether it's physical activity or just being still.
That's
But
fair.
it has to look like what I define it as in
Yeah,
order for me to feel that way.
exactly.
You know what I mean? Like
Exactly. Yep.
so today for me it was walking through the neighborhood with just nobody out and just people walking their dogs and shit. I was
For you,
relaxing that.
Chief, to the foreseeable future is sleep, bruh. Like to
Some more
guess
10
sleep.
hours.
Yeah. Nah, it'll be dope. But yeah, yeah, I hate it. But yo, there's four more questions, and I don't want to jump into them because they can go long, but I do like the next four questions. I envision this being a 2-part episode anyway, so I think we should tackle this next week. But there are some really good questions. I think we can have some great conversation around it. I wanted to shout out the homie who posed these questions, and that is if you're watching the episode, you can see his Instagram name on the screen, and if you're listening to it, it's crazy. His name is Daryl Peterson. He might be my cousin. You know what I'm saying? But
Shout out.
his his Instagram handle is DVRRYL 2 times, the number 2 times. And if you wanted to see the post or whatever, I should have just threw it up on the joint, but I didn't have time to save it or whatever. But I'm also gonna put that crumble cookie joint in the text for y'all so y'all can see it. You may not cry like I do, but for some reason to me it's it is hilarious. But I appreciate y'all. Before we get into the particulars, Bell, I know you do it at the end, and then we'll save it to there. So P, I'm gonna let you go first, bro. Tap in with your final thoughts, cuz.
Uh, Make sure you're doing something that brings you peace on purpose. Don't wait for it to be just a matter of circumstance. Purposely carve out time to do something that feeds you. Uh, I think in the midst of searching for identity, in the midst of being in survival mode, in the midst of identifying rest, we always need to do something with intent for ourselves. No matter how long it is, how much or how little it costs, do something for yourself so that you know you're contributing to your own self development and not letting the rest of the world and circumstances around you kind of dictate who you are and what you do and how much you do it. And the only way we can kind of break that is by kind of cutting through it and incorporating you know, our intent with everything else we got going on a daily basis. So just be intentional about doing things for yourself. That way you do have a little bit more of an identity when you're in survival mode or when you're in the midst of accomplishing a plan. Um, you got a good sense of self awareness. That's my final thought.
I'm gonna go because I kind of wanted to piggyback on that. I feel like defining, I mean, it took a lot from this, but in this last couple of moments, defining what rest looks like for you, because it does look different for everybody. It's not, it's not the same. It's not always sleep. Sometimes, to your point, P, it is doing something for yourself that genuinely makes you feel good and takes the burden of everything else in the world going off of your shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
And that's important because I would believe the majority of people don't do it enough. So a challenge for you all is to identify what rest looks like for you. And then in the next week, make some time to do that. That's my final thought.
I don't know what my final thought is. Honestly, y'all had some good ones. I guess define what good looks like for you. Like and live by your own standards and be okay with the choices you make, you know. Because Prentice said it, like you're where you are in life right now is a culmination of choices you made, you know, over X amount of years. So if that's the choice you made and that's where you are, then be cool with it. Like live for you. Live for you and whatever that means for you. That's my final thought.
That's what's up. That is most definitely. That is definitely with us. What's up? And Bev, you want to jump on that joint real quick before we close?
Yeah, we created this platform to keep a safe space for Black men to openly engage in conversations surrounding their mental health, and we'll continue to do so. So we appreciate everybody for their support and tapping in. And again, this is just our platform that we use to talk about the things that we deem as important and things that are happening currently in our lives. So we appreciate it.
For sure. Hey, y'all, we got a voice line. Tap in with us, shoot us a text, give us a call, leave us a message. One of us will hit you back. It's 860-410-6160, 860-410-6160. We have email. You can find us on all social media platforms at All Black Men Need Therapy. You can reach the collective at allblackmenneedtherapy@gmail.com or hit us individually, which at Chief, Prentice, or Bell at abmnt.com. We got a website, abmnt.com. Check it out. We also will be putting some new stuff up there soon. I think that's about it. I got some good news. Well, I'm not going to share it yet, but I do have something in the works for us, fella. That should be pretty damn dope. I don't want to put it in the air because when last time we did that, you know what I'm saying? But I do have some stuff in the works that could be pretty dope, and I think we'll be very, very pleased with. So I'm waiting for an email to come back, and then I'll hit y'all with the good news. Outside of that, anybody want to hit us up? Hit us up. And we would love to converse with y'all. Something y'all want to hear, something y'all want to talk about. Your husband, your son, your nephew going through something, and you want to bounce some concepts or some ideas off of us. Please do. But per usual, y'all, do us all a favor and hug a Black man today.
DOIT.
And tomorrow.
That spells do it.
We out, y'all.
Peace.